Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Ba'ashem Rakar. I want to get into this ESG Part 2. Okay, first of all, let me get into the content. The nature of this content is, of course, Babylon. So-called America is collapsing, and there's going to be several different ideas that are going to be brought to the forefront. Without knowledge of all of what's going on, whatever's going to take place, the fashion that things are going to roll out, without knowledge, we are bound to fall. Hosea 4 and 6 is the point, but I'm going to start with Hosea 4 and 1. The charge against Israel. Hear the word of the Lord Yahweh, you Israelites, because the Lord has a charge to bring against you who live in the land. There is no faithfulness, no love, no acknowledgement of God in the land. Okay, so our people, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, we forsake our power. So we forsook our power, okay? And there is only cursing, lying, and murder. So we weren't keeping the commandments. Stealing and adultery, they break all bounds, okay? All laws. And bloodshed follows bloodshed. So we killing because somebody killed. We just doing what we doing like we doing today. Jake is out here killing. Eve is out here out of order. 3, because the land dries up, and all who live in it waste away. The beasts of the field, the birds in the sky, and the fish in the sea are swept away. But let no one bring a charge. Let no one accuse another. See? So nobody wants to hold one another accountable. For your people are like those who bring charges against the priest. See? You stumble day and night, and the prophets stumble with you. See? So we just going off. So I will destroy your mother. My people are destroyed from lack of knowledge. Okay, so we'll come back to this. And I'm going to go to this ESG. Part 1, I had an article from 2018. Part 2, I have a more up-to-date article from 2022. I believe it's June 24th, 2022. ESG is not written into policy over in the U.S. Maybe it could be. I got to do some more research. Part 1, I wasn't all the way familiar with it. Part 2, this video, I'm not thoroughly familiar with it. Like what companies have it, what corporations have it, I'm not sure yet. But I do know that it's already in the minds of Esau, Edom over here in Babylon, so-called America. Okay, so ESG, what is ESG definition and meaning? Okay, ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance, and refers to the 3 key factors when measuring the sustainability and ethical impact of an investment in a business or company. Most socially responsible investors check companies out using ESG criteria to screen investments. I'm going to get into a little bit more of, what part of ESG this content is going to be about. I'm going to commentate on the S in ESG, okay? Because that is what Kanye fell under with the JP Morgan canceling his bank accounts and the brother had over $140 million in the bank, and they still shut his account based on his social opinion, okay, of Amalek. Now, let's see. It is a generic term used in capital markets and commonly used by investors to evaluate the behavior of companies, as well as determining their future financial performance. Okay, I'm gonna skip down. The number of investment funds that incorporate ESG factors has been growing rapidly since the beginning of this decade. So it's been going on since the beginning of this decade. I'm unfamiliar with it, but I've studied, and I'm gonna do some commentating. And is expected to continue rising significantly over the decade to come. Okay? Now, ESG 3 central factors are environmental, focusing on waste and pollution, resource depletion, greenhouse gas emissions, deforestation, climate change. Social criteria concentrates on employee relations, diversity, working conditions, including child labor and slavery, local communities, seeks explicitly to fund projects or institutions that will serve poor and underserved communities globally, health and safety, and conflict. Okay? Governance criteria focuses on tax strategy, executive remuneration, donations and political lobbying, corruption and bribery, board diversity and structure. This is a large criteria, a large structure that governs the social future of companies. Okay, like I said, I'm gonna concentrate on the S, which is social. Okay, now let's go to this article. Okay, Peng Chun delivers lecture on understanding China's social credit system. Okay, on June 16th, Assistant Professor Peng Chun, Assistant Dean at the Peking University Law School, delivered a lecture at Yangqing Academy titled Understanding China's Social Credit System. Okay, I'm going to skip on down to where it gets good. The era of big data and artificial intelligence is rife with widespread worries and fears about the dystopian outlook vividly portrayed in the English novel 1984. At the core is the deep concern for the increasingly realistic prospects that dataism, okay, big dataism will soon rule the world, collecting data, you all, and that human beings are human beings are about to be mastered by what we try to master. We're going to be mastered by what we try to master, which is data. Okay? The idea of adopting an SCS, social credit score or social credit system using big data technologies has caused debates worldwide, with many criticizing China for its system and the West's consideration of such an approach as a grave threat it should guard against. Okay? Now, in this vein, Assistant Professor Peng began by discussing the two contrasting images of China's SCS, social credit system: the white mirror and the black mirror. Okay? White is obviously good, black is obviously bad. Pros and cons. He explained that the white mirror image, an idea widespread in China's state media, suggests that the SCS is an innovative regulatory instrument to improve social and economic governance in China. Okay, that's the good part. All right, that's what they say is the good part. In contrast, okay, the bad part, he described the black mirror image as an idea prevalent in the Western media that sees SCS, social credit system or social credit score, as an all-encompassing, invasive, and calculating machine spying on every Chinese citizen, generating a rating score vis-a-vis their daily activities. and ultimately rewards and or sanctions. Sanctions. What is a sanction? What is a sanction? A penalty or other means of enforcement used to provide incentives for obedience with the law. This is a policy, but then they're going to eventually, it's going to affect or impact the individual so severely it may end up being a law, because policies are carried out somewhat like a color under the color of law, but it still, holds weight. Okay, so they're going to try to turn this into a sanction. Okay, and ultimately reward and or sanction the citizens. This latter, like Kanye, sanction penalty, penalizing Kanye for what he said, for what his free thoughts, meant. Okay, now this latter perspective, meaning the Black Mirror, forms the core of the Orwellian myth, with three main arguments that misconceive China's SCS as a surveillance machinery, a rating mechanism, and a morality apparatus. Okay? Nonetheless, Assistant Professor Peng argued against these conceptions of the Chinese SCS, noting that although it has data-generating capabilities, the system does not gather data capriciously, Salaki if I'm screwing that up, as it is guided by the National Planning Outline, published in 2014 to promote transparency. Okay, let's keep going. He clarified that although Chinese citizens receive some ratings in the context of financial credit scores, as evident in corporations like Ant Financials, this does not translate to social credit scores. Likewise, Assistant Professor Payne noted that although the SCS does have a naming and shaming function, referred to it as the Joint Sanction Mechanism, the mechanism was created mainly for severe violations of the law. The law school assistant dean explained Chinese SCS through four components: its scope, covering economic and social spheres; its rule-based operation; its reward and sanctions mechanism; and its goal of fostering trust across society. In essence, the SCS is a state-driven program. And we all know about these programs over here, like Title 4D programs, all of these programs that operate under the color of law. In essence, the SCS is a state-driven program or re-incentivization via rewarding trust-enhancing behaviors and punishing trust-breaking behaviors. He further discussed the legality of the SCS, focusing on the practical implications and challenges of the several central level memoranda of understanding, MOUs, guiding the implementation of the joint sanction mechanism. Okay, so this is a big deal as far as how it's viewed, and how it impacts the individual. So they try to lighten the idea, lighten it up as far as it's not really sanctioning people or telling people or severely punishing people, but it's going to end up coming down to it. Part one already showed where, I don't even know. Well, let me slow down. Part one showed that people trying to board the trains had to have a great or a good social score. Over 5.5 million people were denied transportation. They're trying to shine some light on this as far as lightening this up, like it's really like not that bad of a program. Okay. Assistant Professor Peng concluded that China's SCS is neither completely a white mirror nor a black mirror, but sits somewhere in between the polarized versions, with more of efforts needed to prevent the system from sliding towards the Black Mirror outlook. So he came up with a pretty decent analogy, which, in conclusion, is neither all the way good or all the way bad. So he's trying to, say it falls in between. We don't know what fair is, when it comes to this SCS, So also, while the MOUs are not laws, they provide a valuable interface for the underlying legal system and are largely lawful in the formal sense as a legal compliance enhancing mechanism. We call that over here in America paying color of law. Okay, that's what he just said. He also noted that future research into the theme of SCS in China should consider the nature of the role of the state and civil society in building social trust, and whether the state-driven social engineering program is the desirable way to improve social trust in China's rapidly changing society. Isn't that something? Okay, several questions were raised during the Q&A session. One question concerned the time length of Chinese government drafting process of the law on SCS would take, and whether the process has reached the point of public review and comments. That's that, because I haven't heard anything about SCS. Like I said, it may be foreign. I don't know how it's being rolled out over here in America, spiritual Babylon, but Kanye seemed to have his account canceled because of his free speech. Okay, this is the article. Let me see. Where did I find this article? Type in China's social score. Peng Chun delivers lecture on understanding China's social score. I'm gonna stop it there, and whoever's listening, feel free to leave your comments in the comments section. If anyone comes across any other information regarding the ESG, let me know in the comments section, and I'll probably do a part 3 on this. But part 2, I want to go into a little bit further as far as what it actually, how does ESG impact the daily lives of people or the overall thoughts about it, because I'm not too familiar with it. So, but as far as from what I read and what I gathered thus far, it makes sense as far as, controlling the daily lives. We can read between the lines. I wanted to bring this out because Babylon is collapsing. There are going to be several, me personally, I'm just pointing out several different ideas for the New World Order that could be rolled out within the next decade. It touches on that is being rolled out, since the beginning of this decade we're in now. So it's like, if you have any more information, point it out to me. I'm not trying to skim through it. I'm actually trying to find some sort of proof that this ESG is implemented and it affects people today in 2022. Okay, now 4 and 6. Okay, for my people are destroyed from a lack of knowledge. Okay, we want to be very familiar. We want to be watchful.